Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
Apologize. I have been manically reading court filings that just came out.
Yeah,
So I haven't even combed my hair. I'm still wearing my jammies, but here I am.
I love the whole feathery hair situation this morning, I must say. So let's let's talk about the breaking news. You know what? You're way above my pay grade, so you explained because so here's the thing. You always get called like, oh, you're a Garland apologist and blah blah blah. I was saying I understand a lot of your points, and I feel like we heard a lot of that from Lev Parnas about everything Bill Barr was complicit in, which also included blocking Merrick Garland for a good portion of the time we talked about in the beginning. We'll get to all that later, but just tell us the new filing from the Manhattan DA. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you remember when everybody was really mad that the Southern District of New York, the Department of Justice, didn't turn over documents to the DA a year ago when he asked for them, but did turn them over to Trump a week ago when Trump asked for them in January. And everybody was very mad about Southern District of New York. We were trying to figure out whether it was the Southern District that made that call or whether they went up to Merrick Garland and Merrick Garland made that call. And I said, you know what, everybody, let's wait for the facts because I bet Trump is pulling a fast one. I bet that he's somehow trying to use this to delay and it's his fault. And the DA filed a thing this morning that agrees with that. And that of the 119,000 documents that came over in production from the Southern District of New York last week, 270 are relevant to the case.
Yeah.
And those documents that the Southern District of New York didn't have, or that the DA didn't have, it looks like, and I haven't finished reading yet, but it looks like the Southern District of New York didn't withhold any documents last year. They didn't even get these documents until December 2023, a month before Trump filed for them. So I bet Trump filed for them, got some new documents, and said, look, discovery violations, the whole thing should be dismissed and delayed, and I need 4 more months to go over 130 whatever thousand pages. I
Yeah.
think that that's what happened, and that looks like it is what happened.
Yeah.
And wait for all the facts.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
I'm
No, no, no. I hear you. What? So, give us the big picture on that particular case, because you can forgive all of us for getting confused. I'm learning words I've never learned. Mandamus. What? I don't, cert. I don't know what any of this meant before, but it just is. It is extraordinary the amount of legal hail marys and delays and things that Donald Trump has engaged in. Talk a little bit about that case. I mean, that's still. What timeline do you think that's on? The New York
Yeah,
case.
you're talking about the Manhattan DA election interference case.
Yes. Hush
Yeah.
money election interference. Yes.
It was supposed to start on March 25th, but Trump got, oh, I've got these mountains of new documents. It turns out he only got 270 pages. He wouldn't have needed to adjourn. But the DA, out of good faith, said, we still need to go over these documents pretty closely. So a 30-day adjournment should be enough to go over these. So I think that this case will start probably at the end of April, so they can skip over Passover, so that nobody has to,
Yeah.
miss court for that week. So maybe April 29th. But we'll see what the judge says. The judge still has to rule
Okay.
on this.
Okay. So now
But
you tweeted apparently SDNY investigated the Rudy corruption in Ukraine, declined to bring charges. I'd like to know why and whether Barr, DeGenova, Trump, and Tonsing are still under investigation. DOJ isn't required to explain declinations, but they should. Um, so, first of all, beyond what a complete clown show this was yesterday. I mean, it really is extraordinary, right? That this is everything you've been talking about for how many years that Lev Parnas, obviously said yesterday. I mean, let me see if I understand. You also said Lev Parnas just testified on oath that Tonsing and DeGenova got Bill Barr to drop charges against Dmitry Firtash, a Russian oligarch that financed the Hunter Biden laptop op. Allison, again, above my pay grade, why Bill Barr is on TV talking and not in prison? I don't know.
oh,
Can you?
he's
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
he's on his rehabilitation tour. But Lev remembers, and so does AG, because gosh, 6 years ago I was tweeting about how I was certain that Rudy Giuliani, meeting with Benchkowski, who had been jammed through to get to be the head of the criminal division, and Bill Barr were trying to stop charges from going forward against Dmitry Firtash.
Right.
who was the coordinator of the Russian this op that Lev Parnas was talking about for Ukraine, and to get dirt on the Bidens. And he financed the laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop scheme. So, I mean, it all came out in Lev Parnas's testimony yesterday, confirming what we have been speculating on for 6 years now.
So, Jojo from Jurors rounded up. So, in their effort to besmirch President Biden, the Republicans have managed to reveal the fact that then AG Bill Barr actively covered up crimes he knew then President Trump was committing, and that Congressman Pete Sessions, Devin Nunes, Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, as well as John Solomon and Sean Hannity were all in on the plot to push a false narrative to deceive the American public ahead of the 2020 election. Not only did they not implicate the Bidens in anything, they implicated a bunch of people specifically on their side. So now what would be my question, right? I mean, Comer literally said, "Well, I think we might still do criminal referrals." I mean, oh, of the people on your side, you mean?
For yourself?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, that's what happens, right? He appoints Durham to investigate the oranges of the Mueller probe,
Right.
and Durham has to be made special counsel because he found Trump crimes in Italy. We still don't know what those crimes are.
Yeah.
But every time he appointed David Weiss to investigate Hunter Biden. What do we get? We get their star witness, Alexander Smirnov, and his fake 1023 get arrested. Every time Trump asks people to investigate his enemies, they find Trump crimes. And the same is true for here. There's no difference between Trump calling up Volodymyr Zelensky and saying, if you don't investigate, I'm not going to support you, and him calling up Jim Jordan and saying, if you don't investigate Joe Biden, I'm not going to support you. It's the same thing. It's a fake investigation, and they always find dirt on Trump, more dirt than they ever were going to find on the Bidens.
Yeah. Parnas said Bill Barr was notified of Giuliani's effort to get dirt on Biden in Ukraine from the day he took office. And I don't know if you caught this. He said, I believe Bill Barr should be investigated for the cover up and trying to silence me to get the truth of what really happened in Ukraine. I mean, every time this happens, and I know this is a breathtaking amount of criminality that is revealed on a daily basis, but you just think, like, what? So my question keeps being, now what? Is everything that he laid out? I think Andrew Weissman, your good friend, even asked about this. Like, what do you think anything will come of yesterday?
No, because the Southern District of New York has already investigated all of this, and they have declined to bring charges against Rudy, although they haven't said that they declined to bring charges against everybody else. But you got to remember, and here's one of the main complaints I have about Merrick Garland, for people who think I only cape for him. He does not want to give the DOJ a black eye. He has swung the pendulum so far into the timid column for not wanting to go after former DOJ officials, except for like Jeffrey Clark, obviously,
Yeah.
that, he remember when he tried to hide that Bill Barr memo that
Yeah.
like told us why he wasn't going to charge Donald Trump with obstruction of justice, and he made up a bunch of stuff. Garland wanted to keep that hidden. I feel like that is what the biggest problem here is, that Garland's unwillingness to go after like Bill
Yeah.
Barr and the former Department of Justice, and I
Thank you.
think that he should.
Yeah. I mean, I just, Black Knight said, so Bill Barr, but it goes beyond. Bill Barr set up the intake program for Rudy Giuliani to feed Russian disinformation to the department. That's what led to the indictment of Hunter Biden, but also to the indictment of the Russian asset who lied to the FBI about Hunter Biden. It's like Inception. Like, I can't even get my mind around all the layers of, Rachel Bidikofer said House Republicans knew their source was a Russian asset. The same House Republicans did the same thing during the Ukraine blackmail impeachment, where Intel told them their info was Russian disinformation because they used it anyway. Republicans are a national security risk, and I keep saying I'm not sure our institutions, our DOJ, that the founders envisioned something like this, right?
No, they couldn't have, right? Because they didn't have TikTok. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love to
That
see,
was their failing.
Yeah, I'd love to see George Washington on TikTok.
Wouldn't it be great? Somebody should make that hurry before it's no longer on. Yeah, no, I think that I'm with you on that. I really wish that Merrick Garland, and again, we don't know. We don't have all the facts. We don't really know what's happening with this investigation, if it's over, if Merrick Garland or whether Merrick Garland is too doesn't want to go after Bill Barr or give the DOJ a black eye. He just has a history of doing that, and so I kind of try to follow the facts. But we'll wait and see what comes out of this. I
Yeah.
don't think we'll see anything new, but that's what the public pressure
Yeah,
does, right?
yeah.
That's what these hearings do.
This is why we have to have you on, right, Chris? Because she's my calming mechanism.
Yeah.
Because, Ellie Mistal and
He
Dino
winds you
Badala
up.
and Glenn
Yeah.
Kirshner and,
They wind you up.
Adam Schiff get me all wound up about Merrick Garland. And then she's just like, shush, shush, there, Beauty Schmal.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Give you a little scritch between the eyes.
Yeah,
Just
yes,
right there.
Allison scritches me between the eyes. And I'm like, oh, okay. But, because like yesterday, the news broke about the Georgia thing, and I panicked, as I'm prone to do, Allison, as you know. I was like, what? Yeah. But so Norm Eisen said the judge didn't grant a stay, so the case goes on while this appeal does, according to him. He also said he doesn't think it'll change anything. So judge my relative level of panic about what's happening in Georgia. What do you think?
Oh yeah, and you're talking about the Fani Willis. He basically the judge granted Trump the ability to appeal.
Right.
Right.
That doesn't mean it will. The appeals court will take it, right?
Nope. Trump has 10 days to file, and the appeals court has 45 days, though they usually decide in 30 days of whether they're even going to take it up or not. But the trial goes forward, like you said. There was no stay placed on this trial like there was in the D.C. trial.
Yeah.
But that's by law. Georgia has a couple of different laws. That's why 6 of those charges were dropped, and you couldn't just fix them. In the federal system, you can do that. In Georgia, you got to go all the way back to the grand jury if you want to get new charges. So all these little differences to keep track of can be pretty mind-boggling.
So, real quick before we break, I know we have you for the hour, but what? So this ticking clock toward Monday and this huge amount of money. What's your guess? I mean, would your guess be a Russian oligarch or Putin swoops in before Monday? And it is possible for Trump to be a bigger national security risk. I mean, I was speculating earlier, Allison. I feel like the good news is it feels to me like no one thinks he's going to win. Otherwise, it's a pretty good investment to get a United States president in your pocket, right?
Yeah. I mean, in 2020, we were worried about the national security of his regular loans, his $500 million in loans that were coming due this year from Ladder Capital on 40 Wall Street, from all these, from Deutsche Bank. Now you add the fact that he's got a tranche probably of still classified documents. He's hiring Paul Manafort back onto his campaign, who is a known counterintelligence threat.
I thought of you and your original Mueller, She Wrote podcast and just thought, this is the worst sequel ever, the worst acid flashback ever. We're like, what?
I was hoping to just keep that in the past, honestly, along with all the Lev Parnas stuff. But no, it's here. It's in 2024, and I don't think it's going to go away. But he's just a huge, massive, massive national security risk. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And now add another $500 million in debt, in fraud and rape fines. What else do we have to do here?